The story begins in the future, a time when crime and lawlessness had become so rampant that the government incorporated robots named Scouts into the police force. A company called Tetra manufactured these robots, and the engineer who designed them was named Dion. This same company also produced larger remote-controlled robots called Moose, which were designed by an engineer named Vincent. Vincent was against artificial intelligence, believing that robots should always remain under human control. Meanwhile, we see a group of thieves with their leader, Ninja, fleeing through the city as Scout robots pursued them. Along the way, they collided with a car but managed to escape and reach their gang leader, Hippo. His henchmen confiscated all of Ninja's team's weapons. Hippo then berated Ninja's team for failing their mission. He threatened them, saying they had to pay him $20 million within the next 7 days, or they would all lose their lives. He put his gun in Ninja's mouth to secure a promise that he would bring the money and then shot one of the thieves to prove he wasn't joking. At that very moment, the Scouts located their position and arrived in helicopters. Hippo and his gang immediately opened fire and set off explosions. Ninja's team quickly got into their van, but the key was missing. The Scouts had landed and were attacking the Gangsters, accompanied by 2 human officers who used Scout 22 as a protective shield. Within moments, the Scouts began to eliminate the Gangsters. Meanwhile, Ninja was searching for the van key among the dead bodies. The gangster who had the key was trying to escape in another vehicle, but a Scout attacked, causing the car to explode. Elsewhere, Ninja was firing at a helicopter in the sky, forcing the pilot to fly away. He then found his van key in the wrecked car. At the same time, the police entered an old building where Hippo was hiding. As they broke down the door, Hippo launched a devastating attack with a rocket launcher, severely damaging Scout 22. Hippo then escaped through a window, while Ninja and his team, including their injured comrade America, fled in their van. With Hippo's gang defeated, the news spread that the Scouts had wiped out the criminals, prompting the government to order 100 more Scouts from the company. Back at the company, Vincent wanted to continue his work on the larger Moose robots, but the CEO, Michelle, wasn't providing him with the necessary funding. In an engineering workshop, Scout 22 was being repaired, and Dion was called in. It turned out that Scout 22's battery had fused during the attack, meaning it couldn't be fixed. Dion instructed the engineer to salvage all the working parts from the robot for use elsewhere. Meanwhile, we see the thieves, who had taken refuge in a deserted building. Their team began to wonder how to get out of their predicament. Yolandi suggested that someone at the Tetra company must have a special switch that could turn off all the Scouts. They needed to find this person. They started researching on the internet and discovered that a man named Dion had invented the Scouts. Elsewhere, Dion was at home working on his new project. His personal robots took care of his food, drink, and household chores. After many hours of coding, he created a program that could allow robots to develop emotions and a consciousness. However, Michelle had no interest in this, as her business was solely in weapons, and she denied Dion permission for testing. Furious, Dion went and retrieved the damaged Scout 22. He also took the guard key, a tool that could be used to update the software. He put everything in his van and drove off. Dion had only gone a short distance when Ninja's team suddenly blocked his path. They smashed his van's windows, forcibly pulled him out, and knocked him unconscious. Later, they brought him to their hideout and threw water on him to wake him up. Ninja punched him a couple of times and ordered him to shut down the Scouts. Dion explained that the Scouts are always on and can only be disabled through their software. Ninja didn't believe him and pulled out his gun. Just then, America came and told him that they had found Scout 22 in the van. Seeing it, Ninja told Dion that if he wanted to live, he had to install a program in Scout 22 that would make it Ninja's slave. Dion replied that he had just created new software, but it hadn't been tested yet. Nevertheless, Ninja forced him to install the software. Dion got to work, reassembling Scout 22's broken parts. Its battery was also damaged, meaning it now had only 5 days of power left. Using the guard key, Dion removed the old software and installed the new one. Within moments, Scout 22 woke up, but its mind was like that of a small child. It was scared upon seeing the humans and hid. This angered Ninja, which frightened Scout 22 even more. Yolandi then took it to the kitchen and spoke to it lovingly. Scout 22 came out and touched Yolandi's hand. Dion then gave it a toy to play with, and soon Scout 22 had learned everyone's names. Yolandi, delighted, named the robot Chappie. Back at the Tetra-Vol office, Vincent noticed that the guard key was missing. He checked the system and saw that it was currently inside Scout 22. The next morning, Vincent saw Dion researching methods for teaching children online. Noticing the bruises on Dion's face, Vincent confronted him about the guard key. Dion claimed that, according to the rules, he couldn't give it to Vincent. Enraged, Vincent slammed Dion onto a table and threatened that if he didn't return the key, he wouldn't let him live. After work, Vincent followed Dion's van. At Ninja's hideout, Chappie was wandering around, touching and exploring different things. Ninja suddenly told him, "You have to work for my team." He then began training Chappie to shoot a gun. Chappie was very scared, causing his aim to be off, which made Ninja furious. But before he could harm Chappie, Yolandi intervened, saying they first needed to teach Chappie everyday things. Yolandi showed Chappie various objects and taught him to say many words. Soon Chappie was not just speaking words, but full sentences. He then called Yolandi Mommy, which made her incredibly happy. Then America taught him some profanity and gangster slang, and he began to talk like a gangster too. When Dion arrived and saw Chappie speaking like a gangster, he felt terrible. He made Chappie promise that he would never do anything illegal. He then read some books to Chappie to expand his mind. Meanwhile, Vincent was secretly watching all of this and understood where the guard key was. A plan formed in his mind, and he immediately left. Chappie was so good at painting that he created a perfect replica of a car. Everyone was very happy, but suddenly Ninja interrupted and started beating Dion for making Chappie soft-hearted. He was about to shoot Dion when Yolandi stepped in and stopped him, allowing Dion to escape. Yolandi explained to him that Chappie's mind was like a child's. Now, Ninja wanted Chappie to become a gangster like them as soon as possible. So Ninja and America left him in another gang's territory. Their plan was that when people attacked him, he would defend himself and thus learn to fight. The rival gang's members thought he was a police scout and started harassing him by throwing rocks and other objects. They even set Chappie on fire, but Chappie didn't defend himself because of the promise he had made to Dion. As soon as he got a chance, Chappie ran for his life. A while later, he was still trying to find his way back to the hideout. After a long time, unable to find his way, he sat down exhausted on a rock. A dog came up to him and Chappie petted it. But moments later, Vincent and his men found Chappie. They had located him using the company's tracking system. Vincent attacked him with an electronic device, instantly switching Chappie off. When Chappie's eyes opened, he was trapped in Vincent's truck, held by several men. He tried to free himself, but in his anger, Vincent cut off his arm. Vincent then opened the panel on Chappie's head and removed the guard key. He told Chappie, "You are not a real person, just a frame made of wires and metal." Now that Vincent had no use for him, he was ready to cut off Chappie's head. But this time, Chappie defended himself and fought with all his might against all the men. He then jumped out of the truck. Vincent's men fired at him from behind, but Chappie kept running without stopping. Vincent let him go because Chappie was of no use to him anymore. Somehow, Chappie made it back to his hideout, where Yolandi took care of him. She also yelled at Ninja because Chappie's condition was his fault. America then fixed some of Chappie's parts and attached a new arm. Yolandi reassured him that he was just like other humans, only his body was made of metal. Then America stepped in and taught Chappie how to use a knife, telling him it was just for making people sleep and that it wouldn't cause any harm. Chappie, with his childlike mind, believed this to be true. Ninja and America then taught him how to use weapons like shurikens and nunchucks. They painted his body and put some chains on him to make him look like a gangster. Later, Ninja needed to steal a car. He told Chappie that a man had stolen his car and they were going to get it back. Hearing this, Chappie went up to the man and in a fit of rage, completely wrecked the car, accusing the owner of theft. He then picked up the man and threw him far away. Seeing this, Ninja and America immediately called him back and scolded him. "What the hell have you done? You've destroyed the car. What are we supposed to take back now?" They then gave him a gun, saying it wasn't for shooting, but just for his protection. Over the next few hours, Chappie, tricked by their words, stole many cars. The people whose cars he stole thought he was a scout, so they were too scared to do anything. Afterward, Chappie was brought to a deserted building where some gangsters were watching a dogfight. When they saw Chappie, they thought he was a scout and ran away in fear. Meanwhile, Ninja and America sold the stolen cars and bought several weapons. While Chappie was waiting for them, he saw a dead dog, and another poor dog was trapped in a cage. Just then, Ninja returned and said, "These dogs show the reality of life. You either get killed or you fight to save yourself." Chappie replied that he could never die because he was a robot. In response, Ninja revealed that his battery was going to run out soon. To raise money for a new battery, they would have to pull off an even bigger heist. Hearing this, Chappie agreed to help because he didn't want to die. In the evening, they all returned to the hideout to find Dion already there. He was very disappointed to see Chappie, who had turned into a complete gangster. But Chappie no longer cared about Dion because Dion had given him such a short life with a faulty battery. Meanwhile, in the company lab, Vincent used the guard key to upload a software called Genesis to all the scouts. As he did this, scouts all over the country suddenly shut down, causing accidents everywhere and allowing criminals to escape from jails. Chappie also shut down. When Dion went to check on him, Ninja blamed him for the malfunction. He soon got into a fistfight with Dion, and just then, Dion pulled out his gun and backed him off. He then put Chappie in his van and drove back to the company. Elsewhere, Ippo heard the news that all the scouts nationwide were down. He happily announced that the city was now his to rule. In no time, thousands of gangsters took to the streets, and chaos erupted everywhere because there was no one to stop them. The last active scout shut down right in front of them, and they set it on fire. At the police station, all the officers armed themselves to handle the situation. In the lab, Vincent was happily watching the news of the nationwide disasters, as his plan had finally succeeded. He then began deleting the Genesis software so that there would be no evidence, but it was taking some time. At that moment, Dion arrived at the lab with the deactivated Chappie, forcing Vincent to hide immediately. Dion connected Chappie to a computer and found the code for the Genesis software. For now, however, he had to save Chappie, so he ignored Genesis. On Vincent's computer, the Genesis software had failed to delete. Fortunately, within moments, Chappie rebooted and was still the same as before. As Dion was about to leave, Chappie noticed the Moose robot built by Vincent. Dion explained that Moose is a robot that a human can control by wearing a helmet that reads all of the person's thoughts. Then Chappie saw a new model of Moose and said he wanted a body like that too. But Dion told him that he couldn't just transfer data like that because Chappie had not just data, but a mind and emotions. Vincent overheard this entire conversation. Chappie became angry with Dion because he wouldn't even give him his desired body, so he stormed off, taking the Moose helmet with him. Meanwhile, the police had surrounded the company building. Vincent quickly shut down his computer and left, but he forgot to take the guard key. Dion met with Michelle, who ordered him to fix all the scouts at any cost. Seizing the opportunity, Vincent went to Michelle and claimed that Dion was behind the shutdown, having uploaded the Genesis software to disable them, and that his own robot, Chappie, was out killing civilians. Hearing this, Michelle finally gave Vincent permission to use Moose. Vincent immediately connected his mind to Moose and sent it to attack Chappie. At the gang's hideout, Chappie put the helmet on Yolandi and connected her to his computer. After a lot of tinkering, he succeeded, and the helmet read Yolandi's consciousness, displaying everything on the screen. Now Chappie needed money for his new body, so he and his gang prepared for the next heist. They stopped an armored truck full of weapons in the middle of the highway. Chappie stabbed some guards, believing they would just go to sleep. He then blew the truck's doors open with an explosion and threw the remaining guards out. He started stealing the money, while news reporters were broadcasting everything live. Suddenly, Chappie noticed that one of the guards wasn't sleeping, but was groaning in pain. Before he could understand the truth, his gang called him back to the van, and they immediately fled the scene. At the Tetraval office, Dion searched the system and discovered that the Genesis software had come from Vincent's computer. He caused a scene in the office, but just then the news came on TV, showing Chappie killing and robbing people. Dion was stunned and immediately rushed out. Back at the hideout, Ninja revealed that getting a new body wasn't actually possible, and that they had lied to Chappie to get him to commit the robbery. Hearing this, Chappie flew into a rage, grabbed Ninja by the neck, and threw him outside. At that moment, Dion arrived and warned him of the impending danger, showing him a special weapon that could harm robots. Just then, Ippo and his men arrived, demanding the money and Chappie. Ninja's gang opened fire on them. A heavy gunfight was underway on both sides when suddenly Moose arrived. Vincent was controlling it, and he crushed America under Moose's feet, killing him. He then brutally tore America's body in two and tossed it aside. Ninja fired at Moose, but it had no effect. Moose then started attacking with fire, forcing Ninja to run and hide. Hippo and his men were also shooting at Moose, so Vincent made Moose fly up and drop a bomb on them, wiping out the entire gang on the spot. Only Hippo managed to save himself by hiding in a pipe. Moose was now advancing to attack Dion, when Chappie, holding the weapon Dion had given him, stood in its way. He secretly placed a bomb on Moose's body and then attacked it. The explosion tore off Moose's arm. Moose then launched a massive attack on Chappie, knocking him down and causing him to drop the detonator. Hippo emerged again and teamed up with Ninja to fight Moose. Meanwhile, Chappie broke through a wall to get Yolandi inside to safety. Ninja and Hippo managed to destroy Moose's cameras, after which Vincent made it fly up into the air. Dion tried to escape in his van, but Hippo stopped him. Ninja came forward to help Dion, but Hippo shot Dion anyway. Seeing this, Ninja became so enraged that he smashed Hippo's head with an axe. Chappie quickly hid the injured Dion in the van. Vincent had fixed Moose's camera, and it descended once more to attack Ninja's team. Chappie ran to get his helmet, but it was destroyed by a bullet. Now he had to go to the factory to get a new helmet to save Dion. Ninja told him to go with Yolandi in the van and stayed behind to distract Moose. After they left, Ninja got on his knees as Death, in the form of Moose, stood before him. Moose was about to finish him off when, at the last second, Yolandi jumped out of the van and attacked Moose with a special weapon. Vincent immediately turned Moose and fired at Yolandi first, killing her instantly. At that moment, Chappie reached Yolandi. Seeing his mother dead, he was utterly devastated. In that moment, he found the detonator and immediately pressed the button. The bomb on Moose's body exploded, and it was obliterated in a massive blast. Afterward, Chappie took Dion to the Tetraval headquarters. Vincent saw him and started to run. Chappie threw a knife into his leg, stopping him, but Vincent managed to crawl to the main office. Everyone was terrified upon seeing Chappie. Chappie picked Vincent up and began brutally slamming him against walls and windows. He then broke Vincent's bones, spun him around, and threw him far away. Finally, he said to Vincent, "Go, I forgive you." Who forgives someone like that? Soon the police surrounded the building and were trying to get the doors open. Meanwhile, Chappie took the injured Dion to the lab and connected him to a helmet, after which all of Dion's consciousness was transferred into a robot body. Dion was now also in a robot's body. Then Dion went to Vincent's computer and, using the guard key, reactivated all the scouts. He then transferred all of Chappie's consciousness into a new body. Just then, the police arrived, so Dion ran outside. There he saw Chappie in a new scout body and was overjoyed. The two of them, along with Ninja, returned to their hideout, where they buried Yolandi and paid their respects. Later, the news reported that all scout robots had been decommissioned and that police officers would resume their duties as before. A little later, Chappie found the USB stick containing the data from the helmet test he had conducted on Yolandi. He then hacked the factory machines and ordered a beautiful female robot to be built. Finally, he uploaded Yolandi's consciousness into it. Now Yolandi was with them again, in the form of a robot.
If you want interesting movie recaps, like, share, and subscribe to follow us for more movie recaps.